In this speculative 15th century, Khmer escorts move with merchant convoys through the Strait of Malacca. They do not rule the sea alone, but their presence makes every port and passing captain reckon with an Angkor that learned to look outward. Our history remembers Angkor as an inland empire of temples, reservoirs, and river routes. But after its conquest of Champa, what if Jayavarman VII had made a costly, contested decision to build durable coastal shipping and naval institutions? From here, the timeline is speculative. A maritime Angkor might gain new trade, knowledge, and allies, but it would also inherit expensive fleets, contested ports, environmental stress, and stronger rivals across the seas. By the late 12th century, the Khmer Empire was a formidable mainland power. Angkor's reservoirs, canals, roads, and rice landscapes supported a huge ceremonial and political center, but maintaining that system demanded constant labor and coordination. Jayavarman VII was a builder king, associated with Angkor Thom, Bayon, roads, hospitals, and religious foundations. His reign also unfolded amid warfare, heavy mobilization, and the political costs of rapid imperial expansion. Khmer power moved easily along rivers and overland corridors. Rivercraft carried troops and goods through the Mekong Basin, yet regular open sea operations required hulls, crews, provisioning, and navigation skills the court could not simply command into existence. To the east lay Champa, not one uniform seafaring machine, but a chain of coastal polities with ports, shipbuilders, and long-distance commercial ties. Its rivalry with Angkor made the coast both a threat and an opportunity. In 1190, Jayavarman VII captured Vijaya, Champa's major center, beginning a period of Khmer dominance that would remain difficult and incomplete. Holding a coast was different from winning a campaign inland. Our divergence begins in 1195 with a fictional raid on a Khmer-connected river and coastal depot. Damage to ships and stores exposes how vulnerable Angkor's trade has become, persuading the king that river strength alone is no longer enough. The report reaches Angkor. Jayavarman sees a strategic problem, not a simple insult. A coast without dependable shipyards, pilots, and supplies can be bypassed by enemies and exploited by allies. He launches a fictional coastal fleet program. It combines Cham shipbuilding expertise, Khmer timber and river logistics, and paid service for coastal crews. The goal is escort and transport capacity first, not instant command of every sea lane. The program divides the court. Priests, provincial officials, and communities responsible for waterworks object that labor and timber are being diverted from temples, farms, and reservoirs. Jayavarman's gamble begins with negotiation, coercion, and compromise. The first years are difficult. Open water vessels require different timber, caulking, sail plans, food stores, pilots, and repair cycles. Cham knowledge is crucial, but it cannot be extracted without trust, incentives, and continuing local autonomy. Protecting the program stretches the kingdom's logistics. Soldiers guard timber convoys, while elephants move hardwood from upland forests, leaving some land frontiers and local projects with fewer resources. By the early 1200s, the first robust Khmer coastal escorts patrol the Gulf of Thailand. Their crews can protect convoys near shore and through seasonal weather, but long voyages remain hazardous and expensive. Early patrols deter some raiders and protect some merchants, yet storms, unfamiliar currents, and uneven training reveal the fleet's limits. The court learns that naval power is an institution built slowly, not a weapon acquired overnight. The costs are felt inland. Repairs on parts of Angkor's older hydraulic network lag, and farmers ask why the court funds sea-going timber while local channels and embankments need attention. Still, the fleet creates a new bargaining tool. This video calls it the fictional Naga Fleet, a network of escorts, crews, ports, and contracts that make some Khmer-linked trade safer without erasing the autonomy of Malay, Cham, Javanese, or Chinese merchants. Over the next generation, successors keep the program alive, though at a smaller scale than court propaganda claims. Khmer escorts reach the approaches to the Malacca Strait by cooperating with local ports rather than treating the strait as conquered territory. The challenge falls on a changing maritime world. Srivijaya's old dominance has fragmented, and Sumatran and Malay successor polities compete for tolls, alliances, and direct ties to foreign traders. Khmer entry adds pressure. It does not replace them. To maintain its fleet, Angkor seeks hardwood, iron, sailcloth, skilled pilots, and reliable provisions. New trade brings income, but it also binds the court to brokers and distant producers it cannot fully control. In the late 13th century, Kublai Khan's Yuan dynasty turns south. A large expedition is assembled for Java in 1293, moving through the same maritime world that Khmer merchants now depend on. In this speculative timeline, a Khmer escort squadron encounters part of that expedition near the Karimata route. It cannot destroy the Yuan force, but it can test its passage, gather intelligence, and force its commanders to spend time and supplies. The Khmer use currents, shoals, and quick turns to disrupt formation and screen regional shipping. The encounter is a limited action at distance, with smoke and changing positions rather than a heroic fleet-killing victory. The fictional Karimata encounter ends without a decisive Khmer triumph. Damaged rigging and scattered debris slow both sides. Yuan commanders continue toward Java, while Khmer crews return with hard lessons about range, discipline, and supply. The Yuan expedition still reaches Java, but the delay makes the route seem less predictable. For the Khmer court, the result is not glory, it is proof that information, pilots, and regional partnerships can matter against a larger fleet. Back at the shipyards, Khmer and Cham specialists compare damaged fittings with captured or observed Yuan techniques. Adaptation is selective. The fleet borrows useful ideas while remaining constrained by local materials, budgets, and crew experience. The following decades bring neither a permanent Yuan-Khmer pact nor total security. The fleet's reputation buys room for diplomacy. Yet every monsoon season, succession dispute, and port rivalry can still unravel what the court has built. By the 15th century, this alternate Khmer state is more coastal and more commercially connected. Angkor remains sacred, while a fictional lower coast port called Pre Nokor becomes an important administrative and naval hub, not a replacement for the inland heartland. This shift creates new factions. Merchant houses and naval officers gain influence, while temple estates and inland provinces demand a fairer share of revenue. A maritime Angkor survives by bargaining between these interests, not by solving them. Land threats remain. Ayutthaya and other mainland rivals pressure frontier towns, while taxes for ships, fort repairs, and foreign trade provoke local resistance. Sea power gives Angkor options, but also new bills to pay. Over the generations that follow, the fleet becomes a regional institution rather than an invincible armada. When Portuguese ships enter the region in the early 16th century, they face ports that can coordinate intelligence, negotiate access, and sometimes deny easy resupply. Khmer rulers regard the newcomers as ambitious trading powers, not supernatural conquerors. They use interpreters, port alliances, and selective agreements to buy time, even as European artillery and commercial networks keep changing the balance. By the mid-16th century, Khmer engineers acquire some foreign artillery techniques and strengthen a few coastal defenses. These changes are expensive and uneven, and they cannot erase the technological gap or the risk of dependence on foreign suppliers. A century later, the result is a striking reversal of the familiar pattern. Khmer merchants sometimes reach European markets through partnerships and chartered cargo space. They do not dominate Amsterdam. They become one visible participant in a much larger, unequal global trade. By the 18th century, no empire can escape global shifts, internal rivalry, or changing technology forever. But a seaborne Angkor leaves a different legacy, a mainland state more practiced at coastal diplomacy, maritime trade, and resisting easy absorption. One decision after the conquest of Champa could not make Angkor invulnerable, but it might have changed which routes, ports, and alliances shape Southeast Asia's long encounter with the wider world. This has been Historic's Vault.